put yourself in a parallel dimension. The chips fell differently. Kristen had a super stable, very lucrative, promising career.
Yeah.
And your career was on the rocks.
Sure.
Do you think you guys would have gone down a path of you being like, well, I guess I'll be a stay-at-home dad? Or you'd be like, that's just not the right answer.
So
I don't want you to frame this in a way like, I don't want you to say this for me.
I know.
How would you have thought about it?
I know.
You know?
And I want to be truthful with it. And I don't want to say it just to be like, oh, this is what I was supposed to say, right? Because truth be told,
once you say it to the internet, you'll remember forever. Yeah.
Truth be told, when I was like in high school or whatever, or like even college or even afterwards, I used to joke with one of my like good friends, and we'd always be like, oh man, we'd love to be a stay-at-home dad. Like, it would be like the greatest thing ever. Like, our wife makes a ton of money. We just play with the kids all day. Like, that'd be like the greatest thing in the world. Like, this is like what a sweet
video
game.
games and action
yeah,
figures.
like you're just playing all day long. Like, what is the problem? But like now, I don't know how, you do it. I don't know how Kristen does it.
Poorly. I do it poorly. I won't speak for Kristen. I do it poorly.
I mean, would be really hard. I think. And, I would like to think if she had like this, trajectory, if say the MomComm takes off and is like insanely successful, it's just like this crazy thing.
Yeah.
And
it's inevitable.
Yeah, right. Which is probably going to happen.
Podcast and YouTube channel.
Exactly. But let's just say that like that's what happens, and like I sort of like plateau out at my job or whatever, and it makes more sense for me to switch role. I hope I would be able to sort of buck up. I'd be able to do it like from an ego standpoint or something like that. I wouldn't care that like I wasn't working, my wife was working and making more money than me. That I really couldn't care less about.
Yeah.
But I hope I could do it from a parenting standpoint.
Interesting.
Just because I think it would be really, 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 difficult. And I guess you just, I would just, learn how to do it, and you just adapt and you figure it out, and it's, and you do it. I love my children and I like being around them. So, and the kids are a little bit older now too. So like it would get
it gets easier as they get older.
Yeah.
Well, and Kristen jokes about it all the time. She's like, oh, I plan to be a stay-at-home mom when the kids don't require as much work.
Right. Exactly. I would hope I would be, I guess that's a long-winded way of saying, I would hope I'd be able to do it. I wouldn't, ego-wise, I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
I just think it's like an incredibly difficult job to do.
Do you think it is, in its essence, objectively, distinguishable how difficult it is for a dad versus a mom?
I think so. But I think that's just people playing in their mind that way. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Yeah. Like, if you enjoy being around your children, it shouldn't be a problem. I enjoy being around my children. So I guess in general, if I'm going to be honest, I would say, it's like a distinguishable thing, but I don't think it should be. And I think dads I think they might set themselves up for for failure, because in their head they might think like, well, I can't do this. Like, I'm not like my wife. Like I don't, I'm not as nurturing. I'm not as compassionate. I'm not as like all these other things. Like, how am I going to do this on a daily basis? So I think people just in their mind set themselves up to kind of fail at it.
Yeah.
Whereas if you just go into it and it's just like, I mean, what do you have to do? You have to play with your children, and you have to, feed them, make sure they go to bed, and pick them up from school, and get them to their appointments. And it's a zoo and it's a mess, and you got to have patience. But I mean, like in some ways, I'd rather be doing that than working on a PowerPoint presentation, for
somebody you don't even like.
Exactly. Or
I'm
like,
sure you like that. I'm sure
I love everybody that I work with, but like on another useless conference call, where I'm just sitting there being like, what is my time?
Yeah.